And you know what? Leadership is a blast, right? We get the opportunity to have people own their own business. It's a privilege. We really have a privilege of helping others to discover that this is a business that can just go wherever they want it to go. Fabulous income, we lead meetings. Janine talked a little bit about how our businesses prepare us for so many different facets of life. We slowly become mentors to others, and that really feels good, doesn't it? When someone says to you, thank you for offering me, this business opportunity. And it's really a boost to our self-esteem, isn't it? I mean, I can tell, you've all heard my story. I was talking about this all the time, how Pampered Chef has helped my self-esteem so much. And you know what? It's an awesome feeling most of the time, right? Most of the time. So I want to talk a little bit about what you may be thinking but not talking about. So it's kind of a feeling that's hard to pinpoint, that sometimes during your business you may feel a little anxious. It's not necessarily fear, but sometimes there are emotions that you don't quite know how to deal with. And it kind of lurks in the back of your mind, these emotions, and typically when with leadership, what comes up is doubt, right? Does anyone have any doubt in their minds that, I'm really not sure I have a handle, on this whole thing? So let's go to this next slide. Okay, so maybe some of these are some of the questions that you have gone through your mind. Do I really know what I'm doing as a leader? What happens if I fail? Is this really what a leader is supposed to be doing? Am I qualified to lead others when I'm just figuring this out for myself? I like this one. I wonder if anyone has figured out that I'm really just winging this, okay? I join for the product and the fun, and all of a sudden I have the responsibility, or I feel the responsibility of my team's success. Now, if any of these sound familiar to you, raise your hand. Okay, the truth is that no matter what level that you're at with Pampered Chef, we have doubt. You're not alone. I can tell you as a national executive director, I definitely feel doubt at times. And many times what happens is we become leaders by accident. So think of some of the members of your team. And I'm referring to this as a coincidental leader. It's someone who they just love Pampered Chef. They love the products. Their kind of enthusiasm is so contagious that they draw people into the business. And they come about building their business through that love of the product, and then all of a sudden they're like, yikes, I'm a leader. What do I do next? Believe it or not, 80% of all people in a leadership position secretly feel that they are ill-prepared for the task. And so we're going to talk a little bit about becoming a coincidental leader and move to being a deliberate leader. Now think about this. Would IBM take a brand new, newly intern and make them a CEO of the company? No. Okay? We almost do that. When especially fast track directors, you think about that, we're like, okay, you have your 5, now you're a director, go to work. Okay? So other findings is 20% of those in our industry never had any leadership experience prior to starting their business. So now we're asking them to be a manager of their business. Now they have to set goals, they have to figure out financials, they have to project, what's going to happen in the future, and they don't have those skills. All of a sudden we need to have communicating skills, we need to listen, we need to be acknowledging, we need to empower others, and we still have doubt in ourselves. So it's no wonder why we have such an amazing attrition rate. Why directors come and they go, because they don't feel qualified as leaders. So we're going to talk about a little bit about this, is that really the answer lies within us. So now you may have come to a point in your business where you thought, it's the company's fault. They have not trained me to be a leader, okay? And you know what? Don't work yourself into a tizzy about that, because we so know that we're independent contractors, though we have amazing resources as a company, but as an independent contractor, we enjoy a myriad of benefits, right? Just what Janine said. No one tells us when to go to work. We can work from home, but we're an entrepreneur at the same time, and we're responsible for our own growth. So it's up to us. So, self-improvement books. How many, you have to be a student of your craft. So how many of you are reading self-improvement books? My team knows I brag on Kim Manning all the time, how she has embraced Zig Ziglar, and she finally got me to join, the podcast. And we've been now we're enjoying that journey together. Professional development. You may not be aware that professional development now covers online classes. Cindy Sparling and I learned that this last week. So go look at the policy guide and see how they've improved that professional development and totally embrace that. So where does one begin moving from that coincidental leader to the deliberate leader? Let's go ahead and move the same slide. First of all, you need to stop long enough and notice where you're at. Where are you at in your business? Okay? And second, you really need to be clear on where do you want to go. You know what, if you found yourself in this business just kind of, muddling along and not really having a clear sense of direction, you need to have, let's go to the next slide. You need to have a strategic plan. And you can't hit a target that you can't see. You've all heard that before, okay? So, I loved Cindy's planning, her bullet journal. Of how many, we were just having a conversation at the table about my calendar is just not working for me this year, okay? So, a leader who designs a 1-year, 5-year, and even a 10-year plan you're going to have such a better sense of peace. And when we have peace, it eliminates doubts, okay? So first of all, clarify your vision. There's some handouts in the middle of your table. If everyone would grab one of those, actually the numbers on the top of them, they worked as a dual purpose here today. Table numbers as well as handouts. Okay, so the first handout that you're going to see is going to be kind of clarifying your vision. Doing a goal planner. I have to say first, thanks to Judy Joel for sharing this, and then thanks to Cindy Sparling for putting it on paper. If you haven't already done a plan for yourself, that's going to help you outline that, or use that with your team. Okay? As a leader, if you've completed the steps, great, but have you done it recently? Have you done it right now? Now, here's one of the things I truly suggest. If you kind of look at seeing the same patterns happening, look back at your last year's calendar. Look back at what did you actually do last year? What meetings did you attend? How did you spend your time? And if you notice higher sales or higher recruiting during certain times of year, it's going to relate to the actual steps that you were doing. So evaluate, when you're setting your goals for a coming year, always evaluate what you did last year, okay? And it's important, have your team members, assist your team members in doing the same thing, okay? So the steps of deciding what those team members want are really the benchmarks, okay? That's gonna decide where you're gonna go. And the deliberate leader is very good at helping others do the same thing. You have to be get a sense of direction. Now, another component of your strategic plan should be your monthly success plan. Because you know what, if you don't have a success plan of where you want to go each month, if you don't have it outlined, you're not going to go the right direction. So the second thing that you're going to see there, and this came from Jody Wallace, she's a business and life coach that we used at a previous retreat. And there's two things here. First is the Friday checklist. So on this checklist, and this is kind of falls along the same lines of what Cindy's doing, you would put everything that you want to do in a month, checklist-wise, and then the 1 through 4 is weekly. So if I do it, this is my checklist, I do it week 1, I check it off. Okay, I do it week 2, then I check. So this is actually good for 1 month. Okay, wow. Does that make sense?
Wow.
All right. Now, the second sheet that you're gonna say is working in the zone, and we so often get lost on the little things, the things we like to do, okay? So when you work in a zone, your priority items happen first, okay? All right, and I love, some people have my team's recognition on the back of their sheets because I'm all about making sure we recycle. So if you have one of my team's recognition, say thank you to them, okay? All right, or say good job, I should say. Okay, so that's gonna help you with a little clarity.
Donna, can you stop a minute? Ours are all stapled wrong, so what sheets are we supposed to have?
Okay.
One more of these, Director. We have one sheet.
Okay, we can help you with that, we're sorry.
Can you go back over to the Friday checklist?
Okay, the Friday checklist. So everything you would want to do in a month, okay, this is the things, and then the little box in the front would be weekly. So I wanted, follow that?
So
You want to do it every week, but this is a monthly guide. Got it? I'm sorry. Okay, good. Any other questions on that? Do everybody have handouts, okay? Okay, good. Yes. Okay. Do you wanted more?
No.
Okay. Okay. Next, you want to have a support system, a person who will hold you accountable. But you know what? You want someone who will genuinely be an encourager, but you need to have a healthy dose of detachment. The person cannot be like your best friend. Your best friend is not going to be a good coach. Your best friend is not going to be that accountability person who's going to hold your feet to the fire. Okay? And it's not necessarily your upline director. You know, sometimes it's better to have a peer or somebody that you may meet at a workshop like we're having here. That's why we put you at different tables, because you know what your best friend's going to say to you. So we want you to reach out and meet. Because without accountability, you're going to lose focus. That's why LEAD program worked so well. It was the accountability of that program. And ask anybody, and you're going to get the opportunity to listen to our LEAD panel. Okay? So in short, you know what? It really is about reconnecting to your why. And I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing about that, your why, but it's so critical to your success because it's here. And if your heart is not connected to your business, nothing else is going to happen. And be very specific about what you want, especially with your accountability partner. You know, breaking it down so that they can kind of help and guide you along the way. All right, so that's our first step, strategic planning. Our next step is creating community. Translation, creating a family, something that people want to be a part of. Okay? So, you know, in the Kevin Costner movie where he says, you know, if you build it, they will come. And you know what, that's really not how it works in direct selling. How it works in direct selling is if you build a community others feel proud to be a part of, they will come. Okay? So think about, you know, we're so fortunate to be the most celebrated team in the Pampered Chef. When Nancy Joe goes up to the front of the room and accepts Award of Excellence on our behalf, we feel really good about that. We know we took part in that. So you want to think about that. You want to create that same sense of belonging and excitement in your own team that Nancy Joe does when she goes up to the front of that room. She's not saying thank you for my award. She's saying thank you for our award. This was our team that did this. So we're proud to be a part of that team. So you know what? It really is a pride of belonging. And that's what the keynote you should write down is how can I create a pride of belonging on my team? Okay? So how do one create a sense of community? First of all, 3 things. One, a team culture that is fun. Everybody wants to have fun. We were obnoxiously fun last night. We played Pictionary, and I think the hotel wanted to throw us out. But it was something that was, probably when I ask the team 10 years from now, because we all see we have longevity here, you know, what did you remember about the retreat? They're going to go, oh, Pictionary, and that's okay. That's okay, okay? So next is, we want to talk about actually creating a team creed. Okay, so what is a creed? It's a sense of principles and belief that you want your team to empower, okay? So, think about this. A creed can be a really great team building experience because it gives your team an identity that they're going to relate to. So I want you to think about for a minute and jot down a few words that come to mind that you want your team to stand upon. Okay? What are the principles that would make you proud when you're thinking about your team? What are those principles that you want to run your business and run your team by? So just take a minute and jot those down.
Is that the one you want to be on? Is that the one you want to be on?
We're okay.
Okay.
We're a little ahead on that one.
You can go back.
That's all right.
It's easy.
It's easy.
No, you gotta
Okay,
make too much
anyone
noise.
want to share some of their principles? Out loud, raise your hand. Or just scream it out, Randy?
I'll say service.
Service, okay, a sense of service.
Honesty and integrity.
Honesty and integrity.
Family.
Family.
Empowering others.
Empowering others. Okay? Supportive.
Respect.
Respect. Wonderful.
Caring.
Caring. Okay, so do that exercise with your team to create a team creed, and you will definitely have that sense of belonging and create that culture. Now, communication. Communication is a component that will make or break your team culture. Okay? And again, remember we went back to, we don't all have great communication skills, but you can be honest. Okay? Be honest when things go wrong. Be honest. Being a master communicator is really the first step to modeling to your team, because maybe you don't have all the answers, but when it's heartfelt, they understand that. So the final component to creating your community is celebrating together. And we all love to celebrate together, because what does celebration do? When you celebrate with your team, it creates a better self-esteem in each individual that you're celebrating. Okay? And self-esteem is something that so many women struggle with. Okay? So building self-esteem, I mean, think of situations that you've had in the past where you recognized someone and you celebrated their success in the front of the room, and you saw you made such a big impact on that person. Anyone have a moment that when there were tears in their eyes, or they said, "Thank you so much, this impacted my life"? Anyone have a moment they want to share that you impacted someone's?
I'll share. It happened fairly recently. I have a dear friend consulting on the team who's been with me for 13 years, and she decided to retire for good reasons, not good reasons. But when I recognized her on the Sunday meeting, and I didn't mention her name, but we talked about different things that had happened to a consultant in her life, in her Cameron Chef life, and earning a vacation trip. And as we started to speak about this, some of the other directors in the room knew who I was speaking of, and we all got very teary-eyed. And when we announced her name, because she had done an award that month, it was very moving to everybody in the room that we were a family and that we were supportive of each other. And even though she may have left us as a consultant, she was still always welcome, and it really made a big impact.
Okay, that makes me
Nice.
And you can see how emotional she became just hearing that story. So that's wonderful. So we talked a lot about yesterday about recognition and how we can celebrate people successes. So embrace that. Okay, our next step is team building. Okay, so the translation to this is teach others what you do best. Whether you're calling it, some people don't like to say recruiting, whatever, it's the single most important factor to your team's growth is going to be team building. So you want to create that culture of duplication. Okay? So the question to ask is, what are you duplicating for your team? Are you practicing the same strategies that you want them to do? Are you recruiting? Are you selling? Are you out there? Okay, next slide. So, here's it. Ask yourself, would my team be seeing the results they desire if they were duplicating my efforts on a consistent basis? Okay, we've heard it, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. Next slide. Oh, go back, sorry. All right, we good? Okay. Nope. Yes, nope. All right, I think we got it. Okay, has anybody experienced this, team coaching? You're like, come on, you can do this. Stop dragging them along. Stop looking backwards. We need to look forward. So, as a leader, you have two primary responsibilities. One, help your team members develop the skills they need to succeed in business. Help develop the skills. And two, encourage them to make smart choices. The choices that are going to benefit themselves and the choices that are going to benefit their business. And some of it is going to be accomplished through training, and the rest is going to be accomplished through coaching. Because again, go back to Pampered Chef. Boy, they could run their business, they could be trained 24/7, you know, with all the resources that Pampered Chef has. So Pampered Chef has made our job really easy in the aspect of the training. So your best use of your time is spent coaching, okay? So we always struggle with what is coaching. And I always sometimes we call it the leader, when you ever do the coaching call where you feel it's the leader inquisition. And it's a little checklist, okay? So it's not the intention of the leader to just go through, you know, how many shows do you have? You know, how many bookings did you get from the party? You know, that is not our intention, but that's not really coaching. That's just asking questions, okay? So that's really more reporting rather than partnering. So coaching is partnering with them. Partnering with them for them to reach their goal. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you always go back to their why. And you've heard that before. And one of the things that we tend to forget sometimes is that the why changes. I mean, how many people in this room, your why changed from the first time you started Pampered Chef, okay? And mine has changed probably 10 times, you know? So, and that's okay. So, and what happens is when we don't have a good coaching call, we feel guilty, okay? That things aren't going well. So we really have to figure is how to connect with them. Yes, they need to have the opportunity to vent, but they also need to have the opportunity to process and come up with their own ideas on how it's going to change. Because what happens when you give them all the ideas and they don't work, whose fault is it? It's our fault, okay? Boy, Donna told me that I should go out and do such and such, and it didn't work. So now, you know, look at, what does she know, okay? So they have to decide what is going to work for them and what they are willing to do, okay? And so the first step to change is really awareness. And here's the next slide.
It's not coming up.
It's been dragging. It's all dragging.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So routine coaching. Step 4: talk less and listen more. Stop trying to fix everything. Okay. 3: know your team member has the answer. They do. Know their why. But also, when they struggle and there's going to be stumbling blocks, remind them of their why. See their amazing qualities. And that's where your coaching call should always start with their amazing qualities. What went well for them in that time frame. Okay? And remind them. Because you know what, often with coaching there's tears and there's, you know, they get discouraged. Let them choose their action steps they'll take. And you know, 2 or 3 action steps can make a big difference. Number 9, make it all about them. And number 10, let go of the outcome and enjoy the process. And that's where you stop dragging them. Okay, so in short, learning to coach your team member is really a skill that there is so much information out there about coaching. If you just embrace these top 10, you're going to do a better job this year of coaching. Did everyone take a picture? Okay, go on back. Yes.
Donna, while they're taking a picture, can you, remind us on team coaching, there's, as leaders, we have 2 responsibilities, and what was the first one? The second one was encourage them to make smart choices.
Yep. The first one is help your team members to develop the skills they need to succeed in business. And number 2, support and encourage the team members to make wise choices. Okay. You were good there? Okay, step 5, training translation, create a culture that values learning. When we train, we empower, okay? And we open so many doors of possibility when they feel empowered to go out there and get those bookings and add those team members. Top team members have one thing in common. They not only understand the need to train, but they go beyond when asked by the company to offer, training. They go the extra mile. So here's the kind of $1 million question. Did you ever have a meeting, you're like, oh man, I'm just not sure I hit the target on that. Anyone have one of those meetings? So here's one of my best pieces of advice for you. When you struggle, it's that doubt again. You understand that doubt's coming back in. Is go back to call 2 of your team members after the team meeting, virtual, whatever you're doing, and ask them, give me your feedback on the meeting. I'm always like to hear and be open to it. And you will find you'll get very positive results. What you felt and what they received is 2 different things. So do that for yourself, because we're independent. No one's Nancy Joe's not going to show up at your door and go, great job at that meeting last month. So you have to make sure that you find that fulfillment and that sense of empowerment, from your team. So we're going to look a little bit about how you can make your training awesome. Okay, and it's kind of, we're going to look at the who, what, when, and where of team meetings. So first question is, who do I train? Everyone. Okay, whoever wants to be there and enjoy it. And you know what, sometimes you have those people that they show up and they show up and they show up, but they don't do anything. But you know what, don't prejudge, because you never know when that one training is going to spark, for them, and they're going to move forward with it. Okay, it's all exposure. So, now what do I train on? Don't reinvent the wheel. What do we train on? Bookings, house coaching, recruiting. Okay, so those are our keys. Okay, and we're going to process this a little bit in just a minute. Where do I train? There's the 2 C's. Keep it cost effective and keep it consistent. If you can at all help it, don't be hopping around from house to house, or have it the same day, the same time, the same place. Because if people at 3 o'clock when things are really crazy, and if you're going to ask them to go to their computer to look up where the training is tonight, they're not going to show up. They're going to be like, I'm already too frazzled. I can't do this. Okay? They don't need fancy locations. Okay? Nancy, Joe, and I have proved that yesterday we can, you can train.
Were you feeling young?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So really, the most important thing is adopt. Where to train is it's really to adopt that same time, same place. Okay, when do I train? Everyone has a plan that works out best for them. So let's go to next slide. Okay, so we're gonna have a little breakout session because you all have different ideas. So in your breakout session, you're gonna talk a little bit about who do I train? Do you do individual? Do you do groups? If you do virtual, share in your group what you're doing there. What are your training topics? resources that you use. Do you use home office? Do you have other things? I talked a little bit about, there's other things, Zig Ziglar, other resources. Where do I train? Are you doing locations? Are you doing virtual? Are you doing groups? Are you doing events? Are you doing, okay? And when do I train? What's your best timing? Okay? So one person at the table, who would like to be the scribe? Raise your hand. Don't all jump, come on.
Okay. Raise your hand.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna give you, thank you. We're gonna give you 5 minutes and come back, and then your scribe will share real quick.
Nice job, Donna.
5 minutes, and I will wrap up.
I don't know how that plug got out of the back. I don't know if somebody used it. I can't.
Yeah, so Connie wasn't here. So
Okay.
we did Margie, A Connie, Janine's done.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Can you plug this in? And give me the plug for this.
You want this plug in?
Is the iPad?
The iPad's 100%.
Okay. So we're gonna plug that in down. After all. Here, done, right there. We're gonna plug it right in there.
Okay, you got it?
You can leave it bunched up. It's fine. Pardon me? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. We were so ready.
It's fine. It actually was because we started with Janine.
All right.
So I
You started with Cindy though, right?
Cindy started, and then we did
I should